It is rare to find so much industry expertise all in one spot, right at your fingertips. The world of public adjusting and insurance claims can be a scary one. This changes now. That's why we built this podcast for you, where all the industry experts converge. Let us be your guide to education and personal growth. You're listening to Because Experience Matters, the show for public adjusters who want to up their game. Hosted by the 2021 Public Adjuster of the Year, Jack Hanks. How much money are you leaving on the table by not knowing all the approaches you can take to maximize the payouts to the insured and profits for your business? On this show, you will discover untapped strategies to become an unstoppable public adjuster and an effective advocate for your clients. In every episode, Jack brings on all the industry big dogs, including leading roofers, contractors, lawyers, accountants, and marketers. You'll access the insider scoop, real case studies, real obstacles, and actionable winning solutions. Let's jump in so that you can stop working hard and start working smart.
All right, guys, I am very, very excited to announce out of the gate here, this is our first ever Because Experience Matters, Jack Hanks podcast. And I thought about it for a while and who our first guest was going to be. And I picked my good friend and client, mostly friendo, I think, Nick Forsell out of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, buddy.
And there's a reason I picked Nick. We have kind of a wild story is
because I'm awesome is what you meant to say.
That's probably very true. Everyone knows that though. But number two, besides your awesomeness, is we didn't start off on the greatest foot of all. We met at the SVG conference in Vegas like 5 years ago.
It was the 18 show, right?
Whatever that was, man. Yeah. And you came up to the booth and I was at Skipton. I was literally I just got my license. I have no idea what was going on, what the heck was going on. And you came up to the booth and you were hot. And if you want to kind of tell that story and how things evolved and contractors don't always get along, but I think it's becoming better. So if you want to take it from there, man.
Yeah, that was an interesting run in. I came looking for one of your public adjusters. I don't even remember his name. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Because he had just been he had been assigned to a couple of our clients after Harvey down at the coast in Texas, and just basically ghosted them. And I was trying to track this guy down, couldn't get email responses. I was talking to like Jeremy Skipton, I think, and David and all them. And they were chasing him too, and just kind of having problems with this guy. And you were just like, who is it? What's his name? I'll track it down. You made a few phone calls and then just pretty much took it over from there and helped us get that all cleared up, and didn't have to by any means. You weren't getting paid to do it. So, yeah, I mean, that goes a long way, right from the start, for you to jump in on something like that, and help the team out.
You were a little pissed, if I remember.
It was. I mean, again, the guy was ghosting them for like 4 or 5 months, like literally no contact. Nobody could get a hold of him. And he had all the files, he had everything. Yep. Like, we were stuck. I think start over or help, please. And
I think what happens is that kind of goes to talk about the PA contractor relationship and how, man, it can be really, really, really bad. And I think we don't communicate enough as an industry. And I think we take each other for granted. And I don't think we respect each other enough, because both of our jobs suck at times, right? And if we're not on the same page and communicating a lot, even about the bad stuff, dude, when stuff's not covered or there's a huge deductible, which we talked about today on another claim you and I are doing, yeah. I think it's when it goes south. And I think transparency, man, is a big thing. And I think we need to work on that as an industry.
Well, it is what it is. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. Just work through it either way. You got to. One of my old bosses way back in the day, when I was working for Milwaukee Fence Company, when I was like 19, 20 years old, whatever it was, I used to hate when he said, "Oh, you got to take the good with the bad," because we'd go out and set some fence posts in 3 feet of rock, and then the next day they would just, it was like butter. And he always said, "You got to take the good with the bad." And I used to hate it, and then I became a business owner. And I was like, okay. Like that is, if you can learn to take the good with the bad, like actually do it and just not blow up, give people an opportunity to work through it, make it right, realize everybody's not perfect, including yourself. I am nowhere near perfect. You know, you basically started your PA career when I started my commercial roofing career. You know, got pretty much thrown into it and had to figure it out real quick.
No training, nothing. Here's your license, figure it out, go, right? I'm like, holy what?
Yeah.
Well, I think, and I think that, I mean, what I've seen recently as well, I think, dude, when I was a contractor, I started being a contractor in 1989.
God, you're old.
Yes. No, seriously. And literally, I got out of college. I was in Chicago and I moved to Phoenix and I went to work for a contractor because my dad was a plumber and I had no idea what I was doing. I have a poli-sci degree, which means nothing, right? I'm like, I don't know what to do. I went to work as a contractor doing, I was fire chasing back in the late 80s. I had no idea what I was doing. And, most contractors then, including myself, didn't really run a great business model. And I think the cool part of guys like yourself and the Paul Reeds and the Sam Struthers and the Logan Graffs and these guys like yourselves, what I'm most impressed by you guys, honestly, is you're actually very, very good businessmen. And we didn't have that a lot when I first started. It was more of a Wild West, get the contract signed, try to get a deposit so you could pay for the old job on the new deposit money. And it was a horrible way to run a business, but we all did it. So what I'm most thankful for with you guys, the guys I work with, you're business people first. And I think that's a testament to you guys because, man, it's hard, right?
Well, I mean, there's not a contractor out there, I don't care what they say or who they are, that didn't fake it till they make it. You know, I mean, you had to get real good at that in the early days, especially. I mean, even sometimes now as you progress in business, and you know, you just roll with the punches, I guess. But yeah, all those guys you named off, I've learned a lot from them. Yeah, I mean, they're at a much bigger scale than I am, so I'm sure I could learn. I've still got more to learn from them, and I talk to them, you know, from time to time. If that's the nice thing about our industry, when you build a network like this, you can reach out. Hey, I got this problem, or you know, we've got private Facebook Messenger groups and stuff that we, you know, bounce things back and forth off each other, and yeah, it's good. Always learning.
You know, that's the cool part too. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, when I was a contractor, I didn't talk to my competitors. I didn't want anything to do with them. I hated them. I didn't want to deal with them. I did everything I can to yank their stickers off other people's buildings or their, you know, I was an asshole, right? Because I didn't want to deal with that. I'm like, I thought I was king. I thought I was king, you know what? And I'd say this business has come such a long way, man. In SVG and the April Halls and the Medicos and the Dimitris and the Lee Hates, I think have done a tremendous job getting us all in the same ballpark together in talking. And I talk to other PAs constantly about stuff because I don't know all this stuff, man. And I'm learning. I think it's great that you guys are not, there's so much work anyway. I think it's great that you guys actually communicate now and want to do it better. I mean, the Sherwoods, and like I said, all these guys are just, they're good people and they want to learn and they want to teach. And it's kind of neat how you guys all kind of evolve together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was, you know, that's a good thing. I think SVG, Win the Storm, Anthony, he created that platform to bring us all together. You know, unfortunately, not all of us have stayed together, but that happens, you know. But in the end, and we talk about this a lot, and I use these words a lot, in the end, it's whatever's best for our clients is what we're going to do. And if somebody doesn't fit, they got to go.
Yep.
We got to fight for our clients, you know. That's what matters most. If we put our clients first, we will be successful.
And that's hard to do when you need a paycheck for the guys on Friday. But I'd say it's, if you run a good business model and you're honest and you work hard, the money will take care of itself.
Well, we all at times, you know, I was saying all contractors can never admit, you know, you fake it till you make it. And the second part of that was robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
We've all done it. I don't care who you are, you've done it. And you got to do it. And in the end, as long as it's right, you know, what's the big deal? But you got to do it, especially, you know, when you find bottom.
Oh man, dude, I remember waking up, you know, 15, 20 years ago, and I was a State Farm Premier vendor, and I was all these I was this big time restoration contractor, right? I had 33 trucks and all these guys. And dude, if that mailman wasn't good to me that day, there ain't no payroll.
Yeah.
That's a shitty way to run a business. And dude, it took a toll on my family and my kids and it was a lot, bro. You know what I mean? There's some gut wrenching heartache moments. Can you talk about, I know we talk about this a lot, but I'd love to hear more of your story about New Jersey and how that just beat your ass. And at the end of the day, though, you would not be where you are today because of that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I like you
Sandy?
I started in Chicago like you. I started working. I didn't go to college. I think I went maybe 3 semesters. I don't really think it counted. I didn't get any credits.
You don't drink enough to go to college like I do. So that,
I don't know about that. So college wasn't my thing. I was just a worker. I worked since I was 12 years old. I worked for a retired architect. He taught me a lot of different skills. And so I just went to work and started, doing decks and fences, and then got into a little trouble in my early 20s, and served my time. And in that time, I started my first business. I created all my marketing while I was away, and came out and hit the ground running, man. I had flyers designed. I had all this stuff. I had a business plan. I was that guy that got scared straight the first time, and I it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I got into remodeling, started building spec homes eventually, and just, kind of slowly grew.
And when was this?
That was in I went away in 2003. I was 20, I guess 24, something like that.
Yeah.
And I had work lined up. I fought my case for 11 months and I had a bunch of work lined up, and I had to leave it. I had to leave it with a friend of mine to finish. And I got out, and
this is Chicago, right?
we're Rockford, Illinois. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Home of Chief Trick, by the way.
That is.
Yes.
That is. So, I got out, I hit the ground running. I never looked back, and we had a hailstorm hit my parents' neighborhood in May 11th, 2011. I think.
Holy moly.
And, I did like 65 roofs, 1.4 million, made like 400 grand. I was like, screw remodeling, and I had sworn building off. I was going to be a roofer, full-time roofer. And we looked for more storms over the next, year and a half or whatever, and it just wasn't happening. We would go scout them, and I didn't really know what I was doing. Didn't know what I was looking for.
Well, that was before Hail Trace and Hail 911, all that stuff.
Yeah,
right? That was not a thing. Yeah.
No, that was not a thing. So it was just kind of flying blind. I didn't have anybody guiding me. Like you said, I didn't have other owners that I could call. I had a couple buddies that I knew were storm chasers, and it just didn't work. I hired a bunch of guys, and it was that revolving door, and it was just like, what mess did I get myself into? It was so easy that first year, all by myself, and then it all went to shit. And then Sandy hit Jersey, and we went out there to look for roofing. I brought a few guys with me. We loaded up a 30-foot trailer with, good clothes and toys and, supplies and everything else we could get. And the roofing wasn't really a thing there. I mean, it was to a point, but it wasn't like going into a hailstorm where there's thousands
of
needed.
Hurricanes are a different world, bro.
I think we did like 60 wind damage roofs.
Okay.
And I put out a flyer, the whole storm chaser flyer, hailstorm flyer. And we were smart enough, because it was all secondary homes, to find out the primary residents, whether it was California, Texas, where all these owners were, right. And we direct mailed them. And I had a guy that was the president of a international marketing company. And he's like, I don't know how you found me, but this is the smartest thing any contractor's ever done. I found him up in North Jersey, and none of his information was listed. So he thought,
right.
We skip traced it and found it. And he's like, you're hired. I was like, what do you mean? Hired to do what? He's like, you got to rebuild my house on the beach. He's like, if you're smart enough to figure out where I'm at, I'm assuming you're going to check out when I check your credentials. So you're hired. And it was like a $700,000 remodel is what it ended up being. I was like,
right.
I got sucked back into building. And I mean, it was game on. After that, it was just one after another. We rebuilt 4 homes. We did, I don't know, half a dozen additions. Some of them were bigger than the actual house.
Now, was Julie with you then, or is she still in Chicago? Did she come with?
So for 8 months, she was home. My daughter was 2 months old when I left.
Right.
She was, so yeah, 8 months going home, a few days out of each month, flying back and forth. And, we were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and it was great for the first 2 years. And then all the funding programs and labor, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get the labor force. I was having trouble managing it. I took on way too much work. For the last year and a half, I didn't sign a new contract, and it just all fell apart. I was having to go back and redo work, put my tool belt back on and go back and fix what these guys, this just terrible craftsmanship that I was running into. And then the state ended up, after, when it was all said and done, I came to Texas looking at a hailstorm, get back into the roofing gig from a contact I met from Texas that chased Sandy as well. And, I came here with about $12,000 in my bank account, and it wasn't my money. And owed all my suppliers, owed all my customers. I mean, I'd say probably close to 200 grand in debt to all these people. And in the first year in Texas, I paid 5 of the 7 customers back and all my suppliers in the first year. Again, being away from home. That time it was 10 months that Julie was now in Jersey after only being there 2 years. And
how long have you guys been married at that point?
Was it 5 years, I guess?
Did she ever, my ex-wife and I mean, it literally destroyed our relationship. Did it, you guys, not to get too personal, but I think that's what this podcast is all about, is learning the insides of this stuff. It takes a toll, doesn't it?
She, at one point, she came charging down the stairs, and we were renting this little house, and she came charging down the stairs and smacked the living shit out of me and said, "Get out of here and don't come back until you find my husband."
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the turning point where it's like, all right, I was drinking, real heavy, and just everything was miserable. The state was coming after me for all these crazy charges, which is all cleared up, thank God, now.
Sure.
And the last 2 clients that I didn't pay back because they were coming after me and I needed to legally settle it, I paid them back just as of 2 months ago. This is years later.
Isn't that crazy?
25 grand to 2 different people, to 2 people total, and 75 grand to the state. What's that tell you?
Yeah.
That's some corrupt shit right there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. State got 3 times as much as the damn clients did. But
right.
So that was when I knew, when that happened, I was like, all right, time to make a move. I got to get out of here. This is going nowhere fast. I interviewed I was going to give it all up and just go work for somebody else. I interviewed with a production home company, with a house lifting. I was going to be done. And
take your 80 grand a year, right? Yep.
Then April 11th, 2016 hit. That was the Wiley storm here in Texas, where softballs went into people's living rooms.
Yep.
And that's the day I got here. And I wasn't coming here for that, but it just so happened to be. So, game on.
It's one of those weird things in life where, like, you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be, right? You know what I mean?
I was literally I was in a little rental SUV, and people were just stopping me in the street. "Are you a contractor? Are you a contractor?" And just begging for help. And I went and bought tarps and tools and started tarping people's roofs and helping whoever I could help. And
did you have a staff then, or was this you doing your own stuff?
It was at that point.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was at that point. I came here. I had to let everybody go in Jersey, and I came here solo. And I just put my head down and fought through the bullshit. And it was the best move I ever made, because now 6 years later, holy crap. It's crazy. But I found the right people here. I found the right people. You have the right people behind you, and you have the right support system in place, from my family to the people that work for me and all the people that I employ now. And, when you've got the right people, you can do good work.
Isn't it crazy? Like my 6 years of my life has changed dramatically as well. I think I'm a much better human being than I was 6 years ago. And I was a contractor. It was like the same thing. It was a mess. I was just plugging holes. It was always leaking into dike, dude. It was always leaking into dike, right? And then I finally got my PA. I was a good contractor. I wasn't a strong business contractor, right? I was good at selling jobs. I mean, we were doing tons of firework and stuff around the country. That was easy, but man, getting the right guys to do it, and then they needed to get paid. They weren't done and all that stuff. Oh my God, dude, wear me out on a Friday afternoon. I used to hate Fridays because I would have call after call after call. The painter needs money, the drywaller, you guys aren't done, but I still need to get paid. And blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, dude. It was just a nightmare.
It's a
Nightmare. Yeah. Yeah. But 6 years changed. That's the crazy part, right? 6 years seems like a long time, but it's nothing. You know what I mean?
It happens so fast. Texas has been, I mean, it's just been crazy.
So do you think you would value where you are now with all that crap going on? You think doesn't it mean more now?
It does, and I get reassured by my family. My mother still, I'm 42 years old. She still tells me she's proud of me and knows knows where I came from and what I did. And, a big part of it was done for them because they stuck with me when I went away. They stuck with me the whole time. They were there. They came to visit. Obviously, they did the parent thing. My parents are still together, close family,
Right.
It was, if I didn't have them, who in the hell knows where I'd be, I might have fallen right back into that life and been away forever.
I think, dude, it's a slippery slope. How close? I mean, they could have very easily said, you know what, screw it, you figure it out. When you get your shit together, find us, right? And I think that's more the norm than what your parents did. Honestly, I think most people bail on that stuff because it's exhausting and it's probably embarrassing and it's all these things that their son he's a fucking juvenile delinquent. You know what I mean? It's just, but for them to stick by that and for you to come out the other side of that, that's one in a million, maybe, right? I mean,
yeah. I built a house in Illinois in 2007 for a cop. He was a sergeant at the local police department. And he kept asking me, you want to go shooting? Let's go down. I'll take you down to the range, whatever. And I just kept making excuses. And when we got down to the house, he was like, why in the hell do you always turn me down? And I told him, and he's like, he didn't believe me just because of, how I handled the job. And you would just never would have thought. And I don't know. It's weird, man. I get asked that question a lot. And I'm like, I don't know. I just went to work. I just kept going back to the work. I got in trouble. I was working the whole time I was slanging drugs. I was working full time. That's what, since 12 years old, I just work. And, I guess in that sense, it was a blessing, but on the family side, they've definitely suffered. I drug them around the country, switching schools, they'd make friends and then the kids would have to leave their friends. And fortunately they're young enough where it didn't affect them like it would if they were teenagers,
right. They still be
going on. And they've settled in great here. They're doing a lot better. We had a lot of trouble with my son when we got to Jersey because I left again and he was acting up at school, all kinds of problems. And, once we got here and got settled in and I think he figured out that, this is home now.
Sure.
I think that changed. He's a lot better kid now that we've been settled in for a while. So
that's
it's
awesome.
tough, man.
I think I give more credit to Julie than you actually. So
I would. She is the rock, man. She held it down. She held down the fort, held it together. I mean, with a 3-year-old and a newborn, or I guess 4-year-old and a newborn when I left the first time, and an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old the second time. Gosh.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah. No, I can't. No, I would have gone home and yeah, that wouldn't have happened for me.
No, I get that. That's crazy, right? Dude, life is it's amazing, the curveballs and the stuff we look back on are like, what in the living hell was I thinking? But I did a podcast the other day for a guy and he asked me these questions. He asked me what advice he could give a younger Jack. And my advice was, or if I would change anything, or my biggest, and the thing was, I got out of bed every day and went to work, just like you said. Even though it sucked and I had no money or whatever, I never not worked. Like I worked every freaking day, and just to make sure there was some sort of meal or, you know what I mean? And yeah. I think that's what's instilled. I mean, I never, my parents were they worked their asses off, man. My dad was a plumber, like I said. So I think that work ethic, once you have that, you can't teach that, right? I mean,
scares me about our future in this country.
Dude, I get so frustrated because I look at some of the, I mean, dude, I'm 55 years old, man. And I'm working 13, 14 hours a day. I don't care. And some of the stuff, like it's 3:00 and everybody's packing up and going home. Like, day's half over, bro. What are we doing? Right.
Yeah.
So But I think that's what distinguishes, it's frustrating because you can't teach it. And I think that frustrates me a little bit as a business owner. Like I just, sometimes I don't, my business partner, Doug, teases me. He goes, man, you think like Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, like everybody's on the same level as you are with this stuff. And they're not. You got to learn, like, everybody has a different tolerance of stuff. And it drives me insane sometimes.
Well, I think, I don't know about for you, but for me, resentment builds up. And that's one thing that I've changed in the recent years, like very recently, is that when people do that and they don't work as hard as you, I would have resentment towards them.
Yes.
And that's bad, because again, if everybody worked as hard as you, everybody would be a business owner. So you have to have people that are okay with working, 8 or 10 hours a day, while you work 14 to 16 hours a day. And, you have to have that. Otherwise you wouldn't be the boss.
I got some analogies in sports. It's like, you need an offensive line, you need a punter, you need the holder for the kicker, you need the offensive coordinator, you need all that stuff. And the last few years, I finally got to that point, like you did, where I can actually be okay with things. You should drive me insane. Like, what do you mean? It's Sunday morning. Why can't you call me back? Like, like, what the hell, dude? That's on me, So it's crazy, man. So that's a great story, dude. That's right. Nobody sees that side of that of you though, or everybody thinks, oh, this Nick Forsell's got it made, and like, dude, it's the shit show built who you are though, right?
I started this journey 30 years ago. I'm 42. I started when I was 12. Christ, got it made. I'm just trying to make up for lost time with them, I guess, now. But
you know what I learned, dude? I've been a parent my kids are 23 and 21. You've met Trav, my son, and you know what I learned as a parent? The biggest advice I can give anybody is, we all screw up as parents, right? And we're human, and I think we're too hard on ourselves when we screw up. What I've learned with my kids is, when I screw up and I do something stupid or dumb or say something or whatever, I just apologize. And it's crazy how much that takes the level of crap away. Like, you become more human with them, and they trust you more just because of that. And the minute I started realizing it took me until probably 4 or 5 years ago, I got to that point. I just started being more human and being more real with them. And it's made our relationship ridiculously great. My kids are phenomenally cool. We get along great. We do have that discipline. They know right is right, wrong is wrong. And when there's a problem, we're going to talk about it. But they call me with their questions and their concerns, and when shit goes south, they call me, and we're able to. I've taught them, like, I just need the truth. So, like, we can fix the truth. I can't fix stuff I don't know about, man. That's what's crazy.
Well, and I did an interview with Dimitri a couple weeks ago, and he asked me, what advice I would give to a new business owner or other business owners in general. And I said, when you fuck up, own it.
Yeah.
Just own it, own the shit out of it, learn from it, and move on. It's the guys that dance around it and make excuses, and, those are the guys that aren't in business anymore and are still broke and don't have families anymore, because they just didn't own their shit, and they didn't learn from their failures.
Even if it's about money, when money's involved, people get emotional, upset, and pissed. But eventually, I think everyone calms down. If you make an effort to do the right thing and try and get that resolved, you may not resolve it day one. If you owe somebody X amount of dollars, it's going to take some time to work through it. But dude, like you said, you just got done paying your shit from 10 years ago, right? But you made that effort. And I think that if people see that, and they'll get the work done to get it paid back and see the effort there, I think most of that stuff's okay. You know what I mean? Not okay, but it's more palatable, and it makes it, because people are human. Most people don't want to see somebody suffer or get their ass kicked in, so.
Well, if you address a problem when the problem arises, it's a lot easier to deal with than if you blow it off for a week or 2 weeks, and that problem, that fire is fueled.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot easier. That's another thing I've learned along the way is, you owe a subcontractor money or something, you're short paying a bill or whatever, and you just avoid their phone calls. Instead, I just started picking up the phone, like, listen, I don't have it today. I apologize. There will be an extra $200 on your check next week when I pay you, and I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Yep.
They
say that the hardest decisions are the ones you have, like, making a hard decision is hard because that little gut feeling you have inside of you, right? when you have that, it's the right thing to do. And that's what a lot of us took a while to avoid and get the right thing done, man. So awesome, dude. I appreciate you coming on, man. I'm glad we didn't talk much about construction, more about this real life stuff, because I think that's what it's all really about. At the end of the day, this adjusting stuff and this contracting stuff, it's not rocket science, dude. We're not changing the world. We're not curing cancer. We're not, you know what I mean? It's more of a personal thing. And these relationships that I have with you and we have with other vendors and other guys, it's so much more important to me than, because that stuff lasts forever, dude. I mean, I was telling my partner, he goes, why do you want to have Nick on? He goes, I mean, we probably, honestly, I don't think we only do 3 or 4 jobs a year with each other, right? I mean, honestly, it's not like we have this plethora of work going on, but stuff we do have.
They're little ones.
Right? Yeah, they're little. Yeah. But no, and that's what I think I like most about it, is that the stuff we do get from you, it's real and it's there. It's not fabricated, made up. It's not shit against the wall. It's a real live claim that makes a lot of sense to bring a PA in, because we shouldn't be on every claim. Attorneys don't need to be on every claim, and PAs don't need to be on every claim, right? Roofers do. And I think I get frustrated because a lot of PAs and attorneys think every claim should be theirs. Well, it does. I think there's a time and a place for us, and to find that niche of where to bring us in is the key. And I think you're probably one of the better ones that we work with about that. Dude, some stuff we get, I'm like, oh my God, right? It's too late, but when it's laid out properly and once again, you hit on the nail on the head today, the client's the most important thing for all of us, right? The insured has to be put in the best light possible to be successful, because at the end of the day, you and I it doesn't matter about that, right? It's about him getting that claim done properly, whether I do it, you do it, John Wood does it, it doesn't matter, as long as it's done correctly is the key. And that's what's important. That's what I respect a lot about you, is you're always putting the client first. And that's a huge step, man. That's so important in our business.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear all these horror stories from contractors and other PAs, and I've only worked with a couple. I don't send a lot to you guys. I usually try. Well, the strategy in the past, up until really like last year, has been get it to 75 or 80%, and then send it to a appraisal or hand it to a PA to get the last little bit, or whatever it is, whatever last disputed items there are. But now, like this year, what we're doing different is, and I'm fortunate to have clients that I've worked with in the past, big retail clients that now are having, storm damage. So they're willing to sign. If I put my scope together, they're willing to sign a contract for the full amount of my scope without anything being approved. And then I'm giving it to you and just letting you file the claim right up front. Because what happened last year after the big freeze in February, come hail season, they're like, no, we're not paying anything. I mean, it was the worst year in 10 years I have ever seen.
Yes.
Ever. I mean, they locked it down.
Yes.
And so I can't deal with it anymore. I got to kind of wave the white flag and just let you take it from the front, which, hey, I'm giving up some money there. The client's coming out of pocket more, but in the end, when we've got real examples of how these claims have been mishandled, using the old ways, you're really saving money in the end, and we've proven that in the last couple of years.
What I think the good part too is, before anything even starts, we're on the phone and doing Zoom conferences with your clients, explaining all this stuff before anybody's even contracted. Like we're not even on board yet, but we want to go through it and make sure it's very clear, because man, they're the ones that have to make that decision. It's going to suck for them for 6, 8, 9 months. That roof's still going to be leaking while we're doing our investigation, going back and forth. And they're getting calls from their tenants. We see the call logs on the one we're doing down south there. How many calls? 80, 70, 80 calls?
Just
what I mean?
We're chasing leaks every week.
Yeah.
Pretty much every time it rains, we're down there chasing more and more leaks. And we've requested for the insurance company to approve a coating, a mitigation coating over that third of the building. That's the real problem area. And they just won't do it. And it's like, all right, I mean, we'll just keep chasing. I can't ask my client to go out and pay for something that they may or may not get approved. And a lot of these guys, they're just going out there and blanketing, whether they're laying TPO over something or they're just, broadcasting coating over something. And, there's no assurance that that's going to get paid. And that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
And so at this point, bringing you guys in from the beginning to manage the claim right from the start, and just, you mentioned earlier, when I give you something, it's there. There's no doubt. I've already gone out and done an investigation on the property. I've taken core samples. I've confirmed in this recent one that all the ISO underneath the TPO is fractured. You know, it's there. I'm not gonna,
Yep.
and that's over $1 million deductible. I'm not gonna suggest my client to file a claim.
That's a fun conversation.
$1 million. If the claim's not, if it's not a legitimate claim, right? So I'm gonna scope it. I'm gonna write the whole estimate. I'm gonna have all of my data as much as I can provide for you, and gift wrap it and say, here you go. And then you're going to file the claim. You know, this is a new thing for me now. So but I've seen with how we've failed and all the College Station stuff that we've got. I mean, what a mess there. They're just, the clients are trying to handle it with just us. I'm like, you got to bring in a third party. You got to bring in a third party, and it's just not going anywhere without one. So I mean, there's a time and a place, you know, and
well, the insurance companies, like you said,
it's getting out of control.
Well, they're driven by profit and loss statements, right? So they got their rear ends kicked in on the pipe. So Texas never had that. I heard that was the third largest event in the country, in the history of insurance claims for the country. That Texas water.
Over 20 billion, right? What, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's over 20.
If they say 20 billion, it probably should have been 40 billion then, right? Because they underpaid it by that much easily.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I mean, I've got clients that are still not in their houses.
A
year later,
I got a appraisal today on a pipe freeze claim in Dallas today. And what's that, going on over a year now? So
yeah, I've got two in appraisal, and one that, I mean, these poor people, their ALE ran out, so their temporary living is gone, and they're living in their house
with no
that's gutted 4 feet high.
And the insurance company give a rat's ass because they don't care. At the end of the day, they don't care. And our job is to try to shift that burden as much. And it's tough, right? I was talking the other day on another podcast about how much part of our job is being a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
We do a lot of fires, and it's devastating for these people, man. Like, you imagine going home today and all your shit's gone, all your kid shit's gone, all Julie stuff is gone, all your wedding album's gone, and then having to prove that you actually had that stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane. The business model is insane, but you know, it's just, you know, it's such a difficult business we're in, but we have to just keep, just chugging away. And the APA is important, and what Doug Quinn's doing is important. All these, it's just so much. We're this, dude. You know what I mean? They have this, and it's insane when you think about it. But thank God, and like I said, when I get my little trainings and stuff, the cool part about what we do, man, we get to do the right thing for our insureds, for our customers. When we win, it changes their lives. And the cool part, we can make a really cool living doing it. It's almost a no-brainer. That's what's cool about it, man. You know?
Yeah, I love it.
I couldn't think of another.
We have a lot of fun.
Oh, dude. And, you know, I got buddies that are, you know, they got 3 or 4 degrees and doing this up, you know, and my career is, I kind of tease them because I make a hell of a lot more than they do. And they're like, what? And like, dude, I was a 2.0 student, right? I wasn't very, you know, I wasn't a strong studier, but I think it's just a cool little niche we're in, and it's cool to help we get these checks in the mail, man. And I get to, you know, I send copies to the contractors. It's a cool feeling, you know, even though it takes 8 months longer than it should sometimes for the carrier, it's still a cool feeling, you know? So.
Well, I'm waiting for that cool feeling when, you know, when a carrier says it's 13,000 and we're saying it's 5 million. I'm waiting for that picture of that check. You know,
it's coming, dude.
That client needs that one bad. You know, they're hurting down there.
Well, here's a weird thing with some of these claims, right? That claim there we're talking, I won't give the address or anything, but that claim there, you know, Todd Stern's been out there, we've been there, you're there. We're right. We are 1,000% accurate, right? Not overpriced, not underpriced. They have coverage on the claim, and we're $5 million, not even, dude, we're $5 million apart.
And I was pretty sure I was right until Todd got there and mapped it. And holy crap, I was like, it was way worse than I thought it was. Yeah. Way worse.
Yeah. Once again, we're right, and we're still chasing them around to get the check, and we're going to win that one, right? But how long is that? It's already been 2.5 months already, I think. Yeah. But we're right, and we're still chasing them, and they know we're right, and they're still not ready to pay. Right.
Yeah. They're still chewing on it.
Yeah, that's the hard part of this business, and patience is the big deal. So
Hurry up and wait.
And so, dude, as part of your gift today, I'm going to send you.
Hold on a second. I'm
going to send you the autographed Aaron Rodgers football helmet.
You think you got jokes? All right. Here we go. I'm going to send you this.
Coach Dicka.
Giving you the finger.
So a little backstory to this. Twice a year, my good friend Nick and Jack Pensel, they get little group texts from me about the third quarter of every Bear Packer game when we come out ahead every time. So
yeah.
All right, buddy.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Another 5 or 6 years, probably.
He needs to go away. Your boy needs to go away.
I remember getting a text from you like, oh yeah, Rodgers is leaving about a year ago. I'm like, bro, we're fine. So sorry, man.
Must be nice.
Yeah, it is. It is. Anyway, dude, I can't thank you enough. This means a ton to me. I appreciate our friendship. I love your family. Thank you for everything you've done for me personally on a business level. I won't let you pick restaurants anymore in Dallas. You're banned from that. We'll tell that story later. But dude, everything means so much to me, and I can't thank you enough. You're one of the best dudes I know. You're one of the best business people I know. And that means a ton. And we love doing work with companies like you. And keep doing that. Tell Julie and the kids, hey. And if you want to give your name and all your information out so people get a hold of you, would be great as well. So.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, those are very kind words, sir. Thank you. The feeling is very, very mutual.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next week.
Ryan,
Thursday.
Texas. Yeah, dude. So Nick, what's your phone number and email in case people have roofing questions? They want to get a hold of you, man.
My phone number is 972-400-2164 or nick@restorewithatlas.com.
That's it, baby. So Nick, thank you so much. I will see you next Friday. And thanks for being the first Because Experience Matter podcast guest, man. It means a lot, dude.
I'm honored. Thank
you. Buddy. Thank you, bro.
Later. All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Because Experience Matters podcast. That's all for today's show. If you want to learn more or work with Jack in person, visit www.thejackhanks.com. Oh, and don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify to continue to grow the podcast and change the industry.